Welcome to Homecast.
Is it fine?
Yes, yeah, that's better.
How about the sound?
The sound's good.
Okay, cool. I'm just not gonna use my headphone then. Okay, cool. So yeah, we should start it then. I mean, I would just like editing, so don't worry. I will just start it, and then like thing will be okay. So hi everyone, welcome to the Homecast. So today, very like thankfully, like someone being volunteering and actually email me for doing joining my Homecast because I recently got like an open call and I was a bit panicking, like not sure is anyone willing to join it. But yeah, very thankfully, like someone just emailed me and said, I would like to do it. So welcome. So I will introduce Sam. Hi Sam.
Hello. I'm Sam, Churchill-Guntrip. And I'm studying fine art. I like fish, lots of fish. And I'm very looking forward to talking with Emily about the objects I brought. And I chose to wear green today. That was my color, my favorite color. So, yep.
That's so cute. Yeah, thank you so much for joining my Homecast, and I would love to hear your objects and your story. Would you like to tell me like what sort of objects and story that you want to share?
Yes. Okay. My first object that I immediately thought of was my old DS. I'll press some of the buttons. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. It's the DSi. I don't know what the I stands for, but I know it's one up from my old DS that is pink, and I sold to my mum for £30. That was a great steal. It has two like 3D cat and dog stickers on it that I think came with the Nintendogs like package. I think that was one of the only new Nintendo games I ever bought. And it's sky blue, I would say. Like if you looked at a kid's room, like one of the colors it would be on the wall is probably this color. I think if you looked at it for too long, it'd probably singe your eyes a bit, and that's probably why I have glasses now. But there's many reasons. And the game that it's in it is called Viva Pinata Pocket Paradise, and it is the best Nintendo game to ever come out, in my humble opinion. It's basically a game where you raise and breed pinatas and give them little homes, and it's fantastic. And my entire childhood, and I think everyone should play this game at some point in their life. Should I mention my other object or save that?
Go for it. I mean, I don't mind. Go for it.
Oh, actually, I have one other detail of my Nintendo DS, which is the case that it came in, which has Chris Pratt on it, Mario, Super Mario, and a giraffe keychain saying hello. It's like 3D green background, a very wonky looking giraffe with red hair. Has a little, it's sort of like mesh, the case. And it's got a little very dodgy embroidered Mario. I've actually never looked at it close up, and now that I'm looking at it, he looks very angry. But it did the job. Never broke this Nintendo, and I did break my other one, and I didn't have this case. So I think I recommend this Nintendo case. It probably doesn't exist anymore, but I'll sell it to you for £10 if you ask.
It's like a selling Homecast.
Oh yeah. This is secretly I'm using you to platform my online shop of selling cheap Nintendo things. Well, not cheap. That is probably extortionate prices for Nintendo gear, but It's almost vintage, you know. If you want a pile of chewed up Nintendo styluses, I also have a bunch of those. I got some cool Pokemon ones as well from like gacha games. They're great. Okay. So
I
hit
love
me up
that.
if you want Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, just like email Sam. I will send
Right.
a link about it if anyone interested about it, and then just like send like information about Sam Instagram or anyone like if
Yeah.
actually would like a DS or something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Don't expect any
um,
good deals, but
yeah. So what actually make you? I don't know. How old is the N like the DS? Because I think when I was a kid, I have my DS when I was like 7 or 8. It's like
Mm,
around the time like 2007 or 8, I
yeah.
presume. But
That's
yeah.
when this that's when I got this one. I had one before this, and I'm pretty sure I got it for Christmas 2005 because I was 4 years old and I just was beginning to be cognizant, be in my own body, and I have a memory of all my cousins. This is the only time my like entire family came around for Christmas in our tiny semi-detached bungalow, and everyone was in the living room and we were all just taking turns playing Super Mario Bros. All my cousins who were like 10, 20 years older than me. So I was like 4 years old playing with all these 20-year-olds, and they were all sucked at it. I was the best. That's all I remember.
That's good
um,
though.
but but none of us could get past the sand level. So I don't yeah, I don't think I've ever completed Super Mario Bros, but I've certainly restarted it a lot. I've probably spent hundreds of hours, definitely hundreds of hours. Like I've looked at the logs on my Wii U, which I still have, and I think I've spent like 70 hours and I've never completed the game. Which I think is quite impressive in itself, honestly.
Yeah. But I mean, like, be honest though, when I hear your story, it's actually such a nice memory there because it's actually your first time having like such a lot of family together, and then it was Christmas, like together, like really cozy and playing game. That is actually really sweet. So, is there any like little memory maybe like when you're playing the games, or why you um especially just want to choosing that game as in like share this game in Homecast? Is there like a special reason, or just like, oh, this game is just amazing, I love playing it? Or is there like some
I
tiny little
I mean, one,
memory
it's
that's
an
like
amazing
especially
game.
fond?
Um, but so most of my like time playing the DS was when my parents would take me to the pub, which was like every other day. We were always in pubs. It was great. I was 4 years old, no, 4 days old the first time I went to a pub. My parents retold this story to me today whilst we were at a pub. Um, so I spent a lot of time having to like entertain myself because I'm like an only child. And so the DS is like the perfect thing. Like I would just get handed lemonades and I'd be sipping away, playing on my DS. And and my parents would just chat to people. And if I didn't have my DS or if it ran out of charge, my parents would find me a napkin and a pen, and then I would start selling all my drawings to people at the pub. Honestly, I think I was a more successful artist before I hit 10 years old than I will ever be because I made so much money selling crappy drawings as a child. If
You
you
got
have any
such a business
originals,
thought.
I am
I love
secretly just
that.
a businessman. I am a businessman. It's my one true passion, business. I aim to become the ultimate capitalist.
Oh,
um,
I love that though. That was so cute. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, Sam, you always like been creating such a lovely artwork anyway. I mean, like, if anyone would interest to see Sam's work, it happens soon. I mean, in year two, they're going to have a festival from the 2nd of May until the 4th of May, sort of around the time. So, if anyone down to Falmouth, just come along to the Poly and have a look his work, and maybe he might sell you some DS stuff, or like maybe like some drawing. We don't know, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I know you've got another objects with you. Would you like to tell us some of your objects as well? Are they related, or is something that like are different story?
I mean, they are matching colors, and they are both the color of my old bedroom. And my old bedroom was less of a bedroom and more of a shrine to the well-known and well-loved character SpongeBob, who is my childhood idol and my idol to this day. I love SpongeBob. And my second object is a SpongeBob mug, just filled with pens and pencils. Because I am a stationery addict. It's a problem I've been dealing with. But you know, we all have our struggles. And
That's such a
these are
lovely struggle, though, be honest. It's so cute actually collecting stuff.
I'm just a goblin. I just collect things. I can't just have one of something. I had a job at a charity shop, and they would just leave piles of things of stuff they knew I wanted, and I never had any money because it was all spent on just knickknacks at the charity shop that I worked in. But it was worth it. It was worth it.
That's the main things.
It would probably take me like a year to describe all of the pens in this pot, but I will describe a few of them.
Yes, please. That would be lovely. Thank you.
And you might be able to listen to one of them. I think it still works. I'll try that soon. So what is this one? You can listen to this one. This is a comic relief pen. I think this was from like 2012. Because 2012.
I remember. That's amazing.
I could be wrong, but it's this little guy. He's holding on to this pencil for dear life. Oh god, he looks like he's being blown in the wind. He's purple. I think he might have a skin disease, but it's okay. And I'm gonna just cause him a bit of pain and swing him around, and hopefully he goes around the pen. Oh. I probably should have warned you about the terrible noise, but he's currently having a blast spinning around the pen. That's one. He just sticks out like a little flag on my pencil pot, and knocks things over whenever I try and reach for it. So he's a menace.
The strongest.
I just found a pencil in my pen collection, but it's part of it's been rubbed off because I've sharpened the pencil and the quote is no longer on there, but it says fairies to the end of the rainbow. And it's the rainbow magic fairies. I have the pencil from those like kids books, and then they'd have like rainbow fairies, sports fairies, music fairies, and I think they still sell the books to this day, and I think I have a fair collection of them somewhere in a box because I don't like to get rid of things. I've got yes, this is another sound related pen, and I'm slightly worried it will make a demonic sound because it hasn't been used in so long. But I'll play it and see if you can guess what franchise it's from. Did you hear that?
There's some little clinky sound. Did it say "I love you" or something?
No. It's a Big Bang Theory pen.
I mean, like, because I think I went online, so like it might be slightly not too clear, but
yeah. It's just it's slightly off, but you can still tell just about what it's saying. I had a Big Bang Theory phase. I don't. I have a lot of Big Bang Theory T-shirts that were gifted to me, but like, again, this is around like 2012. I had this one Big Bang Theory box set. It was like, I think it was seasons 1 to 5, and I would just rewatch those seasons over and over and over again. And I would just come home after school. I'd get a little plate and I'd put like one packet of animal crackers and then like 2 Prince biscuits, which are like these French biscuits that we would stock up on whenever we were in France. And that was like the exact amount of biscuits I would have. And then I'd go up and I would just nibble away at my biscuits until I'd finish eating and watch Big Bang Theory. And that's that memory.
I mean, you got such a lovely memory in like most object. I can feel like your childhood is actually amazing. It's like your parents like actually really cool, bring you to pub, and actually like you're selling so much money when you're little. That was actually like my first time being hearing like someone told me that like something. Oh yeah, I'm doing like my own business when I was a little one. This is amazing.
I was a hustler. I was a hustler as a child. My parents, we would do boot fairs all the time, and I was the one doing all the salesmanship. I was like, "Oh, you look like you need this lampshade with no lamp. Are you missing a lampshade in your life? This could be for you." Actually, it wasn't just boot fairs. My dad had a lot of jobs, and one of these jobs, he had a log business that he started up, called Bertie's Logs. They're still going. I designed the logo. It's a cat. I think this was also 2012. I think 2012 was just a banging year for me. It was the best. Olympics. I was end of primary school. It was just, I swear, every day. I did no work of my whole primary school life. I don't remember. I did Kumon, but that was the only work I did. At school, nothing was happening. It was just games and running around in the grass. That's that's all I remember, really.
That's such a dream. That's such a dream. I think it would be amazing. So can you maybe choose your favorite like pen or like pencil that in your little mug? Because I think you got such a bunch of beautiful pen, but I don't think like we can able to do everything. But like we can maybe tell a little story about why you choosing it. Something maybe really fun about it. Something maybe just really personal to you.
I have one pencil. It's a very small pencil, but it's very dear to me, and I'll never use it. Because I don't really know where you could get another one. And it's I used to be an avid magazine collector. And the magazines I could I know I have a problem. But I still have these magazines in a box. And the main magazines I collected, I was a sucker for all of those ones that were like the first issue, and it's like the first piece to building like a giant, like, I don't know, Darth Vader like figurine, but you only have like the foot piece or something. I never collected all of those, but I did get the first editions of a lot of those kind of ones. But the main magazines I collected was SpongeBob magazines and Adventure Time magazines. And this is a little Adventure Time pencil. It's Finn's sword, but the sword end is a rubber, and then the length of the sword is the pencil. It's kind of, it's very small, and it came with a mini. If you know Adventure Time, there's this like book that comes up a lot in the first season called the Enchiridion, and it's lame that I know what it's called, but I have a mini notebook that came with it. And I still have like all the trinkets that would come with the magazines, and I've not written a single thing in that little notebook because I'm in saving it for like, I don't know, something amazing to put in there. It has to be perfect or whatever it is. But this pot is sort of like, it's like a little graveyard of all the pencils that I've used. Like I would always have one fancy pen in my pencil case, and it was always one from this pot, and I would use it up, and I was like, I can't get rid of this pen, and it would go in this pot. So I have the little carcasses of all these dead pens just sitting on my shelf, but they look cool. It's like a little sculpture at this point. Yeah.
That's just so cool though. Thank you so much. I mean, actually, I realized that like most of your objects is kind of related to lots of like sensory and sound related for some reason. Is there like a particular reason? Is it because something that like I know your project is a lot about sensory and disability through the time in your art project, but also is it something that because since when you're like little you're already in love with like sort of texture or sound stuff?
Oh yeah. I love textures, and I'm like 80% sure I'm definitely on the spectrum for autism, which is probably why I love my collections and I just go full in with things. If I like a food, it's the same. I'll eat it till I absolutely despise it, and it will be the only thing I eat. um, and I think that's sort of fed into my collecting habits. I'm just really good at being, or at least I used to be. I used to be really good at just sitting bored, and then I'd find something to entertain me, and it would usually be something that I can just fiddle with. Or I loved, this is one really weird habit, but I just loved looking at carpets, because especially the carpet we had at my primary school, I remember its exact texture. It was like a greeny color, and it was like a really, it was similar to Velcro, but it was like softer than that, and it was sort of like in rows. If I would describe the shape as sort of like lots of like semicircles going like that, and like if you drew a really basic worm, that would sort of be the shape, and that's like the surface as you touch it. And I like to touch it, but also I have like lots of things in my eyes. I think it's like snow vision or something like that. But I get a lot of dots in my eyes, and I could just look at this carpet and so many things would be happening on it. Like there'd be pictures coming up before my eyes, and I would just be staring into the ground, looking at my own little show happening. And I'd just be entertained by that. And I think that's just where I started to enjoy creativity in general. It was just being bored and finding something to do, and whatever it was. And usually it's just, yeah, sensory things, I think. They're just great sparks for your imagination, I think.
Amazing. I mean, thank you so much for all the story and all your memories through your childhood because it's just so happy. I mean, like, as a listener, like, you know, even I'm running the Homecast, but as a listener, I find it like there's so much joy and such a little, you know, I mean, it's amazing how your memory can, like, you know, specifically, like, you know, describe so detailedly and, you know, as an audience or even like myself when I'm listening, I'm actually having so much like imagination for like the color, how, you know, the texture and like joy of like when you're having it or like seeing it as a child. It's amazing. You describe like something that are like it's not here anymore, but sort of like it's still a memory as it is. So it's amazing. Thank you so much. So I have like a few questions would like to ask. So the first question is, what is the most important things that you have learned in your life? What was your life like before learning it? What was your life like after you learning it?
I'd say, I guess, like the thing that's most important to me, and I did look at these questions, and I have thought about this already. So this isn't quite off the top of my head, but I think it's communication is what's so important to me. And I've had periods where I've totally lost my ability to communicate, and I didn't like. I think I'm describing all these periods where I was thriving. As a kid, I had like not I loved my primary school, but I had a horrible secondary school experience, and it was like the opposite of my primary school experience. And I sort of lost all my ability to communicate, and the only thing I really had was art, and it sort of just feels like a puzzle that I can like solve. And I think that's why I am always changing mediums as well, because I just feel like you communicate with different people with every different medium that you try. And I think that's why I love craft as well, because it's an accessible, communicable material, and like method and community, and it's collective, and I just love craft as a as a as a thing, as a concept. And I love the materials that you associate with craft as well: metal, fabrics, textiles, clay. Those have always been my favorite because they're so tactile, and I guess that links back into sensory stuff because it's so hands-on. You're like directly touching a lot of the materials. And yeah, so I guess art's sort of like an ongoing journey of like conversations, listening and speaking and finding my voice again. So I think looking back at all these objects, it's like quite healing, because I'm like, I do have the potential to be playful and to communicate with people. Like my parents we'd walk up to these places, they'd like go shoo, go to the park or the playground in the pub, because pubs usually have a little play area, and I would just come back with like 2 kids around my arms, like, yep, these are my new best friends. And like I'd never see them again after that.
Sorry,
But
I think I missed a little bit because of the internet, like a bit cracking. So would you mind to just say, like, from your parents, like, bring you to somewhere and you collect something? Because like I think I just missed most of it from the sentence. So sorry for that.
Oh yeah, I was mentioning when my parents would drag me to pubs, there would always be like a play area, or like my mum would take me to the gym and there'd be a play area or something. And I was just so used to always making new friends wherever we would go, and I would come back with like 2 people like were interlocked in arms and were like best friends after like a couple of hours, and I would like never see them again. But like it was just great to meet those new people and have those experiences. And I like totally lost that ability at one point, and I was just I forgot the word for it, but I was terrified of leaving the house. So like it's so I sort of had it was almost like I had learned the ability, and then I unlearned it, and I'm relearning it, if linking back to the other question. And that's like the ability to like play and to communicate, I guess.
Sorry, do you say ability, or it just suddenly like
Oh,
the internet?
Yeah. Ability to like play and communicate. I think those are the 2 skills that I've been practicing.
Amazing.
And they're fun to practice.
I mean, those memories. Everyone, for example, me, or even like the people who are listening our Homecast now, they probably have like some struggle, for example, or maybe like, always have like the good side and bad side. Because as I've been what hear it, like you seem to have like such a lovely childhood memory when you're like since in little until primary school, and you said like in secondary school it started to get like a bit like downhill, but you use your art to express your feeling with like different like development through artwork to express your feeling, which is amazing, and with different textile. So would you mind to tell me about how those, like for example, you develop like artwork and exploring to guide you through maybe something that like to communicate as like a artist, or even like how you communicate your artwork to people? Maybe are they like just like touching your work, or you just talk about your work after you've been created and tell them I'm not in like good mood now, or something like that? how you actually express it, maybe in a way.
I didn't hear all of the questions, but I think I got the gist of it.
Oh, is it the internet? I feel like well, I mean, I can repeat again. So how I know like you got like a difficulty through the time when you're in secondary school. So you can't hear that bit, right? And I would just want to ask like how those artwork that you've been create to express your feeling that like maybe impact to other people that maybe can feel you, or maybe like just sort of like the things that how you overcome those challenge maybe through your artwork.
I think almost my art like kept me company, like during secondary school. Like, I mean, it was the only space where I would really talk to people would be the art room and during my art classes, and I didn't really have any social life at all. But so I only really talked to my parents, and I was kind of just traumatized after like a certain experience that I had, and it was just the point where everyone sort of was friendly but already in friendship groups and stuff. So I was just on my own a bit. I would say I was very lonely, so it was good to be able to like sort of just explore still quite playfully, even though it's not as playful as now. I mean, now I diss my old art all the time because I think it's quite boring. But back then it was still fun. But it was all like I did a lot of cats and a lot of butterflies. And it was almost always like realism stuff. Which I don't find as fun now, but that's all we really did at my old school, because they didn't really get art much there, and they didn't want me to do it. So I thought the only way I could prove to them that art was a viable skill or something, or in a way they would get to understand that this is something I could do, as if I mastered like realism and stuff. And they loved that. They ate it up. They were like, nom, 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 nom. This is great. But I was always dying to do clay stuff, and like that, I was pushing the boat out by doing clay stuff. People were like, "Whoa, what are you doing? Slow down. Put down the clay tools." And then like I did my foundation, and I was suddenly like, "Whoa, oh my god, yeah, I've totally forgot that the main purpose of art is like creativity and just exploring ideas." And I saw so I repurposed like how I approached art. I don't quite know how to word it, but I enjoyed my foundation so much, and it was a great like springboard or like foundation to like, I mean, it was a foundation, but it was also a foundation for my social skills as well, because it was only like this was during COVID. So we only saw like each other like twice a week and then online, and I was way better at communicating online than I was in person. And also by this point I crippled, so I couldn't keep up with everyone like physically when I was at university. Like it would be lunch and then everyone was gone, and I was like just waiting for the lift. So I couldn't really keep up with people, and that wasn't their fault. Like, but I would just, I can be fully immersed in the social life then. But when it went all online, it was great for me. And I feel like I was one of the only people that like properly benefited from not COVID, definitely not COVID, but the online space, because it's so much more accessible for me. And it like built up my ability to communicate in like in an environment where I could back out and only do as much as I wanted to.
I mean, I get you though, because for the time, I mean, like I haven't met you yet during through time. I was in year one, and I was through pandemic exactly the time it was like exactly like the COVID time. So we can't even like going out. But I see what you mean, like it might be sort of like a way that to say it's like a comfort zone space that you open up, because it's sort of like, although we're like seeing each other faces, but sort of like you still have like a little distance, and you can sort of still talking, and you can like sit in your room being like really cozy and actually wearing your pajamas and stuff. So I see where you come from. And I mean, for my year, even though it's pandemic year, it's sad, like, COVID is definitely sad because you can't. I love cuddles. I can't cuddle people, but in other good way though, it's like I'm quite thankful for it as well, because during through time I got such a lovely year group. Like, people are really friendly, and we actually cook together. So like I was in Hong Kong for a time, and it's like 8 hour apart from UK, so I'm like really late. So basically, every time when people say, "Good morning, everyone. How was your morning? Do you have a coffee or tea?" I'm like, "Good evening, everyone. Yeah, just having my dinner." Or like, "I'm so sorry now. I need to leave. I have my dinner." And everyone's like, "Oh, I'm having my breakfast now." So it's like quite funny. But yeah, we do have such a good group, and we talk. We actually communicate a lot because, COVID is definitely not easy time, and I think because everyone definitely feel lonely as well, because we have so much like social distancing, and basically we can't see people. So this is like another way, actually another platform to engage with people and actually having conversation. So I totally understand like where you come from, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, everything have like both sides anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's a really good thought about how you've been thinking about when your timeline through like your childhood, and then in secondary school, primary school, like journey, like it's like up and down, but also you figure out where you are, and like after that pandemic happened, COVID, and then you go for foundation, you know people a bit more, and you do stuff in online, and you build up your confidence again, and then keep working, and figure out actually who you are, what type of art you want to do. That's just amazing, and it's difficult because it's not easy, because you've been so like happy all the time, being so creative all the time, and suddenly because of like little downhills just happen with like some people's, or like the environment that you don't feel comfortable on, and suddenly just drop down. It's a difficult things, and I'm so grateful to hear like how you overcome it, and it's amazing. So last but not least, there's another question we'd like to ask you. What make you feel inspired or like your best of yourself?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say like exactly what inspires me. I mean, I have my little, I guess, obsessions or little things I like to pinpoint on. And at the moment, it's fish. Like all my work, I use the fish as my sort of character. It's my muse. This fish, I mean, it's not a particular fish in general. It's just my rendition of what I think a fish looks like without looking at any references, because I refuse to look at references for some reason. I probably should start doing that. But I think it's just me rejecting my entire art career in secondary school and being like, I don't even want to look at a reference, because that's all I used to do, was just draw from references. And I guess I don't know what. I mean, what's inspiring me is trying to reconnect to the sense of community I had before secondary school. In primary school, like, I was like, my parents worked all the time, so I was actually always at a like after school club and before school club. Like, I would be the first one in. We'd rock up at like 5:30. They're like not even awake yet, and my dad's just like, "Yep, here they are. And I would just be in the sort of nursery that I was in, which I ended up being in until I finished primary school, which is a lot longer than you should be in a nursery for, but it was great. Like I would be in the actual house because the nursery bit hadn't opened, and I would just be like looking at their fish tank for like a few hours, and they would make me toast, and I have a lot of fond memories from that. But like you were just always surrounded by people, and the community just uplifted each other, which is sort of, I guess, why my work's moving towards like so like workshops and stuff, and like especially with like disability as a topic, I really think community and conversation is the core of like disability activism, because at least that's what I'm aiming for, is it to be a topic that people actually talk about, because it's hard to, if people don't even have it on their radar, which I think is how a lot of disabled people feel, just sort of like invisible, just blatantly ignored, and then or just ogled at, and then you feel like you have to sort of retreat. And just having those conversations, I think, is really, really important. And I sort of use like humor and stuff. I sort of filter out all the like anger and sadness that I have when I like I'm thinking about these topics, and then I trick people with humor and nice looking fishes to come and look at my work, and then I'm like, aha, it's about it's about the social model of disability and ableism. And so that's sort of what my art's trying to do, at least. And I sort of spent first year just trying to like I guess I moved from being a sculptor into like a weird collision of like performance and activism and film and sculpture and textiles, and I just very multimedia, because I think it can just leach into whatever you want it to. And I'm just really interested in how people encounter art, and I think that's my main sort of thing I'm investigating at the moment.
I mean, it's amazing because, like, the way you're saying is there's just full of possibility. And again, because I have joined just a little bit like recap, maybe like sort of like not remind, but like telling the audience the background what happened. It's like I've been joining like Sam's one of the workshop, like a disability workshop, which is really amazing. Sadly, I can't go for the second one because I'm working, but like the first one was really cool because like it's sort of even people who doesn't have disability, or even people interested about disability, because I definitely have my own disability that I got like chronic pain, and I can definitely feel and understand like how difficulties what is, you know, I think it's like general the entire whole society, like entire the whole world, like somehow it's still like lost the communication through like a history, or maybe some of like education, for example, that they should or maybe in the general speaking, try to be nice. They should be more, general and actually open up to education through like disabilities, like maybe about gender or sex or anything through actually is part from our life, because this is actually a world that you supposed to know, but I feel people are kind of quite limited to, for example, disability. I think like not much researching or any like support or any like things that what I know, and I think it's a really sweet idea and like really nice that like you start to do it, because a tiny little action is something, and more people know it. It's something that more like mean a lot to people, and for example, like people will know a bit, oh, actually, if like people have that sort of issues, or maybe they need help, I can do that to help the people maybe who have like some disability that like we doesn't know that, and then like maybe we can help, or maybe people who have like anxiety, or example, we can do that solutions, or maybe using a little, maybe a hug, or maybe like give them a space, just a time, then it might help as well. So I'm really like, thankful that like Sam was doing it, and his work is amazing. So I mean, you need to be more confident on yourself, Sam, because I know that you always say that you're not too good enough, but you are. Like, I mean, personally, I think you are. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. I mean, like, as in joining, because like at the moment we're like quite far away from each other, but you're still joining as an online homecast at the moment, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely to just chat. It's been great. Thanks for just listening to me ramble. I can ramble for ages. So it's great that someone wants me to do it for their work.
Amazing. Thank you so much, though. I have such a good time. I mean, I hope like some audience, or maybe some people who are listening this episode, will actually, learn something, or maybe not even learn, but something that like to understand it's okay to be not okay, and somehow you can find your own way to express your feeling, not just only up, but if you like running, go for like a really long run to make yourself like exhausted, but also a good way. And it's okay, because actually we're all facing difficulties, not just you. You're not alone. We all do, but somehow we can figure it out. So just try to explore, and you will find yourself. So yeah, I'm just going to end this homecast, but thank you again, Sam, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.